Hey everyone, it's Alex Nottingham, founder of All-Star Dental Academy, and welcome to Dental All-Stars. I am filling in for our typical host, Eric Vickery, because I wanted to squeeze in a special guest and a great friend of mine, Piero Falci. And we were just joking. Well, I'll say your joke earlier, actually, after I give the introduction about his last name. Is kind of funny, but Piero Falci teaches mindfulness, meditation, and mindful living, and is the acclaimed mindfulness-based stress reduction program. Or he's also acclaimed, but he teaches the MBSR program. He leads insight meditation, silent retreats, and organizes silent peace walks. He lives in Florida, USA. That's why I know him, South Florida. He was trained by the teachers at the Center of Mindfulness in Medicine, Healthcare, and Society at the University of Massachusetts Medical School and at the Mindfulness Center at Brown University. Thank you, Piero, for joining me on the podcast.
I am so happy that you have invited me.
And our topic today is the how of happiness. Now, it's funny, we were talking, because I always call you Piero, but it didn't occur to me that it's Falci is how you pronounce your last name. I've heard it, but then it puts you together. Isn't that the Dr. Falci? And you said there was a joke that your son, you're telling me that says something like that?
Yeah, my son goes to introduce himself and says, they ask him, what's your last name? And he says, Falci. And my Falci is spelled F-A-L-C-I, and Dr. Anthony Fauci is spelled F-A-U-C-I. So they ask him, like the famous doctor from the Center for Disease Control, he says, no, like the famous mindfulness teacher.
So you have your son's an admirer of yours, apparently. Excellent.
We have good relationship, yes.
So yeah, I saw that you're starting a new happiness workshop, and I must confess, I took it with Heather, and we'll talk a little bit about that towards the end, but it was really nice, really helpful. I had some friends come on it, and I thought that as well as your MBSR, we'll talk a little bit about that at the end, are some great resources for dentists. Because a lot of dentists, as you know, my father is a dentist, and that's kind of part of the inspiration of why I started All-Star Dental Academy. And a lot of dentists and a lot of people are stressed and anxious. And that's been in general. I mean, my background was being a lawyer. I mean, lawyers and dentists are on the top list of stressful jobs. And now with COVID and all this stuff going on, it's only more stress. So stress is there, it's a given. And it's just amazing. I know a lot of dentists talk to me about, I want to learn more about meditation and mindfulness and all these things. And what's nice about these practices is it's not religious necessarily. It can be added to any faith or no faith. So I guess if you could speak a little bit about stress and that as a worker or dentist or anything like how that becomes a problem, and how can happiness or these practices be of assistance?
Absolutely. Well, let's begin with stress, right? I guess that we are all stressed, and we all know, especially if you're in the medical field, we all know that the impact that stress has on the mental, physical, and emotional health. So we don't need to talk too much about it. We could bring to mind the fight or flight response that everybody is very familiar with. And the thing that happens in modern life is that we are not being chased by tigers, but we are with a constant activation of the fight, flight, or freeze response. And this is what calls chronic stress. We never go back to the rest and digest part of the homeostasis, right? The balance, returning to balance. We're constantly activated by, as you said, the pandemic, the stress of keeping a business going, the political situation, whatever big challenges are going on in the world. So we are constantly stressed. So in 1979, this Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, he was working at the Center University of Massachusetts Medical Center, a hospital. And then he created a program where he included a mindfulness, and he created an 8-week program where we said, okay, we're going to make the patients participate more actively in their healing. And the idea was to teach them meditation and teach them a little bit of yoga and make them more connected with their thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations. So that was the beginning of the mindfulness-based stress reduction program in 1979, and this now is being taught all over the world in thousands of clinical centers, and doctors are prescribing them to all sorts of ailments, from chronic pain to depression to gastrointestinal disease and mainly to tame or to control anxiety, panic, fear. There are all expressions of stress. So that was the beginning of it. So what about meditation? Meditation is really a very simple thing. It's quieting yourself, cultivating silence, stillness, a little bit of solitude, and a lot of simplicity. And you develop this more concentrated attention. So this is the beginning of the process. The beginning of the process, just to give you an example, and you know this, Alex, is, okay, let me focus on something. And the moment that you focus on something, immediately what happens, you get distracted. Your thought takes you somewhere else. So it's very common in meditation, when we teach the initial steps of meditation, we say, oh, focus on your breath. And there's always resistance. Immediately there's a thought, oh, this is so stupid. I have so many things to do right now. Am I going to sit here and focus on my breath? And so the moment that you ask the student to focus on an object of attention, he or she becomes aware of the train of thoughts going through their mind. So I'm here, I'm sitting, yes, but I have that patient that I need to respond. I have to fill out that chart. I have to complete that spreadsheet. Oh, I'm distracted. And so the idea is really to see the activity of the mind and come to some sort of conclusion about thoughts, that thoughts are independent of us, that we have an unstoppable and independent thought producing machine. I give the example of feeling hungry and say, oh, I need to go to the supermarket and I need to buy something. And I said, well, if I go to the supermarket, I'm going to buy goat cheese. I haven't had goat cheese in a while. Oh, that goat cheese that I ate in south of France was excellent. Yeah. Well, Alex, when he went to France last time, he flew Air France. Well, I flew Delta. It wasn't this good. So perhaps I should book a flight on Air France. And the connection is the following. In less than 30 seconds, I went from being hungry to booking a flight on Air France to Paris, just to show the train of thoughts that is unstoppable. So the beginning is meditation and concentration, but this is not the end. Then you have to add investigation. You start to investigating your thoughts, your feelings, your physical sensations. What is behind what I'm feeling right now? And then this process is a process of creating insight. So meditation is also called insight meditation, vipassana. So it's a technique that tries to produce wisdom. The general idea is given by 4 words: look deeply, see clearly.
You know,
So
I
we have,
I just wanted to jump in here a little bit about one is when MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction, and you're talking about meditation and mindfulness.
correct.
That is an evidence-based, and there's a lot. It's one of the few meditation practices culminations that's been proven scientifically. It is secular. Again, it's not any, and it's being taught at major medical schools around the country. So I think that's really important. That's something you came to. Another thing too, in terms of your bio, we don't mention this in your bio, but Piero has a background as a speaker and business consultant. So you had a very, very, quite accomplished career in that. Now you're a meditation teacher. But I think that that just shows, and one of the things as well that, and again, depending on the listening, everybody has a different reason why we're on this podcast as we're hearing. Somebody mentioned meditation. Somebody mentioned happiness practices. I may want to get some of that. Some people can be as extreme as I'm close to burnout. I know,
Mm.
Piero, you face that,
Yeah,
and a lot of professionals hit that and burn out, or you're close to burnout. Like, I can't do this anymore. I've taught the dentist, I don't want to be a dentist. This isn't worth it. And that's the extreme. Everybody's there, but that could
right.
be there. There's also the ideas, maybe I heard it's good for me, meditation, which is true. It is. Maybe I'm interested. There are a lot of reasons. And another thing is, you mentioned concentration, that you can become more productive being more mindful. As an athlete, a mindful athlete, you can become, look, Michael Jordan was taught by Phil Jackson mindfulness. You don't care, and he's smoking a cigar, he's having a good time, but he used mindfulness practice to be one of the greatest basketball players ever. And if you see all the great athletes, they're using mindfulness. So everybody has different means. Some people want the spiritual, they want to combine mindfulness with, yoga practices or their religion. That's fine. But a lot of people, secular people, they can get a lot out of these practices. And I see you shaking your head. Yes. So I just wanted to kind of put in it for the listener. There's a lot of benefits you can get from these practices.
Yeah, you can come in through any door.
Yeah.
You can come in through any door, but and progress is not very easy to measure, really. So if you are on a weight loss program, you can use the scale and you say, okay, oh, I'm making inroads here. Or if you are on a running program, oh, I
Right.
can run faster, I can run farther. I don't feel so depleted of energy. So you know you're making progress. In mindfulness, it's
It's
interesting.
more subtle, very
Absolutely.
subtle.
So when I said you enter through any door, and then it's kind of I don't know, some months later, you catch yourself saying,
Right.
wow, my response to this challenge was completely different
It's
than
true.
the one that I would do, 12 months ago.
That's
So
true.
one of the things that really, really mindfulness helps a lot is how you respond to the challenges in your life. We say that you bring mindfulness, and instead of reacting
Right.
mindlessly, you respond
And
mindfully.
that is so critical for dentists listening, because what I teach, and I have this MBA program that I teach in the All-Star training, and and the I'm referencing emotional intelligence. This is you've heard of this. You read all these books, but emotional intelligence, essentially, they're actually showing the studies, Harvard studies, that emotional intelligence is a greater predictor of success than IQ, regular intelligence. And emotional intelligence, your ability to relate to other people, to I wouldn't say control, but to foster your emotions and the emotions of others and work with them, and if you're mindful, and you're and really, in the book even talks about this emotional intelligence, that mindfulness practice and meditation practices give you the capacity to, again, work with your staff when they're off. How can you be with them and be a place to work with them? Because they will go off. There will be drama that occurs. If drama happens in your life or your patient's life, how do you respond? And that will, again, that will lead to a more productive, and remember, we're a business consultant, Piero, a more productive company, and a happier situation. So, you know what? I want to shift to happiness, because that was a topic of today. We
let
could
me
do a
let
whole
me
nother
finish
on
let me
mindfulness.
finish
Finish this though. Go
let
ahead.
me finish this one of
Yeah, tell me.
reaction, because there's this quote from it's attributed to Viktor Frankl. He says, between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space lies the power to choose our response, and in our responses lie our growth and our freedom,
Sure.
and our well-being, and the quality of our lives really lie on the responses, right? So mindfulness, there is a definition of mindfulness that was written by John Kabat-Zinn. He said, mindfulness is the awareness that arises from paying attention on purpose in the present moment, without adding too much judgment or commentary. So when we do the training, what is the training for? Well, the training is to be present,
Right.
paying attention. And then you can, as you said, be aware of myself, be aware of the other people, be aware of the situation, and then choose the wisest response, the response that is going to bring about the best outcome for everybody involved. So, and the other thing that you mentioned, emotional intelligence, Daniel Goleman and John
That's the guy.
Kabat-Zinn and Richard Davidson. Richard Davidson is from the University of Madison. He has the Center for Healthy Living there. The three of them started meditating pretty much at the same time.
Wow.
And they all, Daniel Goleman went to emotional intelligence, John Kabat-Zinn went to mindfulness-based stress reduction, and Dr. Richard Davidson went to he created the Center for Healthy Living, working these days, working beautifully with children and with compassion, self-compassion as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you, mindfulness and meditation is the secret sauce to really to get a lot of the goals that leaders want to get in terms of leadership, in terms of reducing stress, influencing and leading people, and also being with patients and so on. It really is a secret sauce. I will say though, and I must confess, it ain't easy. Not for me. Some people come easier to it. It is, I hate to say work, but you got to put in the practice, and you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to have a part of you that says, I hate this stuff. Most people, and that's good. That means it's working. Okay. It's because it's almost like trying to hit a ball with your left hand if you're a righty. It's so uncomfortable. Why am I doing this? But I'll tell you, if you give it the effort and the good try, you will get some results in time.
There is another thing that you said of discomfort, of uncomfort. Imagine that you are practicing meditation, for instance, and you feel really uncomfortable, right? But I don't know, you set up a timer and you say, okay, I'm going to stick with it for 20 minutes, let's put it this way. And you're very uncomfortable. Well, guess what? You're training to be still in an uncomfortable situation of your life. So when you are about to jump and hit somebody, and I'm exaggerating here, but when you are about to say some harsh words, you can stay in that you can notice, oh, I'm very uncomfortable now. Oh, this is happening in me. But you have already developed some ability to stay with the discomfort and not react mindlessly.
Now, on conceivably the other side, or another token, happiness. Let's talk about happiness, because I want to title this "The How of Happiness," and mindfulness is part of it. Okay, because again, we're going to recommend you look at MBSR, but also really what excited me is your How of Happiness.
Okay.
Because happiness looks interesting. I was looking at I don't know, there's different studies, but some studies have shown we are not wired to be happy. We may disagree with that. There's some fight or flight thing, but anyways, there's a book called The How of Happiness, and you developed a course that uses that book, the 12 practices. This is all research-based evidence. You're big into science, and all the evidence stuff. And you also include mindfulness and meditation in it. What is happiness? It sounds like a good thing. I want more of it. How do I get it?
Okay, good questions. I think I want to start saying that we have a myth that we need to pursue happiness. And I want to dispel this myth, because we can create happiness. So if you're thinking that happiness is something that is going to be achieved at the end of a pursuit, I would invite you to think, well, let's analyze this, because I can do a few things on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and I can increase my happiness. So this work is based on research. It starts with positive psychology. I guess that many of your listeners are familiar with positive psychology. So in the past, the traditional psychology was focusing on the illnesses, on the ailments, is how do we repair? But we were not really looking, okay, these people are very healthy and very happy. What makes them very happy and healthy? And then there was this new branch of psychology saying, okay, let's study happiness. And let's see if we can bring this about. So the book that you are referring to is called The How of Happiness by Dr. Sonia Lyubomirsky of the University of California, Riverside. And she had lots of research and naturally lots of evidence showing that if we practice, for instance, these 12 strategies or interventions, we're going to be happier. And so what is happiness really? Um, uh, Happiness is many things. For instance, when we feel that we're moving forward and coming closer to achieve our goals, we feel happier. When we feel that we are doing something that is according to our goals in life, we feel happier, right? And happiness can be momentary. Okay, I ate this beautiful slice of pizza with this glass of red wine, and I feel very satisfied and very happy. So there are moments of happiness, and there is a road that we find these happy moments. Now, there's a generalization that says that 50% of our happiness is established. There's a set point, depends on our genetics. What does that mean? Well, there are people who are more predisposed to be sad, and there are other people who are by nature happier. So she said, okay, there's a 50% there that there's very little that we can do. This is debatable because we have research showing how the brain changes, the so-called neuroplasticity. I'm not going to talk too much about neuroplasticity, but the idea is that what we think often becomes the inclination of the mind. So if I am grumpy and grumpy and grumpy and grumpy, I'm going to be very good at being grumpy, Mr. Grumpy. But if I'm happy, 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 I can also cultivate happiness. These are the synapses, the neural pathways in the brain that the more we use, the more commonly they more commonly emerge in our daily experiences. But going back to the 50%, so 50% is a set point. Then 10% is what we were told by our culture that is going to make us happier. And they actually make us happier. Like, for instance, okay, fame and fortune. Yeah, relationships and things like this. So, but we are saying, okay, you need to get another degree. You need to make more money. You need to buy a new car. You need to buy a boat. You need to buy a bigger house. And all these things really bring us happiness. But they are only responsible for 10% of the overall happiness because of something that is called hedonic adaptation. Meaning that, yes, the moment that you buy your beautiful new car, yes, you're going to be happy for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you're going to be adapted to this new reality of this new car. And most likely, that happiness is not going to last. So, I give an example. Imagine when you buy a new car, you look at everything. You look at the wheels, you look at the steering wheel, you feel the smell of the new car, and it's such a joy. It's such a potent feeling right there. But then, I don't know, 1 month, 2 months later, perhaps you are looking at the driveway close to you, and the guy bought another car that you might be interested in. So what I'm saying is that we think that these things about power, privilege, possessions, prestige are going to make us happy. Well, yes, 10%. But then there's 40% in that pie chart that represent the things that we can do on a regular basis that are going to increase our happiness. So we are in control. We are in control of 40% of our happiness based on the things we do, not on the circumstances of, okay, someday I'm going to be happy, someday I'm going to be rich, and then I will be happy. No. So there are these things that we can act upon on a regular basis that can increase our happiness up to 40%.
What I really like about, like I mentioned before, your course that you did in the book, well, you teach all the practices, the happiness practices,
Correct.
and there's workshops involved, and there's exercises to be able to try it out. And I recommend everybody who does a course, give it your effort, stay through it, 100%. And then what ultimately happens, at least for me and for Heather and so on, is you'll settle on a few that resonate really well with you, that
Correct.
these are what work for me, and I keep doing them. And it is true. I will say and attest that I'm happier. How much? I am happier. It maybe even a few percentage points. It helps. I think it's mindfully seeing, oh, wow. So for me, my insight when I took your course was, wow, I didn't even know that's what it was called that I was doing that makes me happy. But now that I know, I'm going to
Uh-huh.
do more of those things. I'm going to choose to do more of those practices to put myself in those environment, and there's more joy and there's more happiness. And I think that that the meditation practices and mindfulness practices help for me in when things aren't so happy, even when they are happy, which one thing you taught was how to really um, uh, embed and absorb that happiness, and when things aren't so good, how to hold it lovingly. Okay, and I think those are wonderful, wonderful practices.
What you said is important because there are some of the practices that fit your personality more than others, and they come easier. They are natural, you enjoy them, and you value them. So you say, wow, I'm going to do this because it comes natural to me. I enjoy doing it. I value doing it. So I teach the 12 happiness enhancing interventions or happiness enhancing strategies. But you can choose. Usually we start with four that resonate more with each one of us. I have six that come very naturally and easy for me. Like for instance, uh, express gratitude, cultivate optimism, do more of those activities that really engage you. To be in the flow, commit to your goals, savor life's joys, and take good care of your body.
Yeah,
So this,
those last four are mine. I like those a lot.
yeah. So it's easy for me to say, okay, it almost comes naturally for me to express gratitude, to cultivate optimism, and to, I don't know, to do the other things, to commit to my life goals. So the workshop teaches, for instance, us. We can choose a few. For instance, let me expand. You want me to expand on anyone, or can I choose?
No, I don't want to. No, because you're going to give the course away, and what I like to do,
Uh,
anyways, is you're so sweet. You'll Piero. If I could get him, I'll have him for 3 hours, and he'll just keep teaching. He is a teacher, but my thing is, I know that if I make this a 2 hour podcast, it's going to be too much
I
for
know.
me. I got to work on my patience a little bit. I get a little impatient, and I want to get right to the juice. Okay, but bottom line here is I saw that you were promoting another course, and there was gratitude that arose and came up in me. I said, I love this guy. Piero is a good person. He is my friend, and I got a lot out of this class, and I like to share this with the world. So I told you we have over 20,000 some on listeners here, subscribers that are hearing this message. They need to hear this message, and I want to tell all of you that I like you to go to pierofalci.com, PIEROFALCI.com, and I will put that link in the description. I'll also, this will be a blog post as well. I'll put links to the course, the happiness course, a direct link to the pierofalci.com website. And for those as well, I'll put the MBSR course link there as well. Now for MBSR, that is a much more in-depth course. It's going to give you an entire practice of mindfulness and meditation. I recommend
it is the best way to start a regular meditation.
if you want, yeah. The happiness is more like a side addendum course, but that's what I want the main call to action here today. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate the two courses. I want to focus on one. MBSR is a great course for those. It's a more in-depth course. If you really want to master meditation and mindfulness, that's a great course. You offer it. You can certainly reach out to learn more from Piero. I don't want to focus so much on that. That could be a later thing. But I want to focus on here is the How of Happiness, the course. Tell me about it. What's it structured? Who's it good for? And this is limited because here's the thing: is you only have one going now. I mean, you have them different times of the year. It may be very well when you're listening to this, it's already sold out. But I would still reach out to Piero and get on a waiting list because he's an amazing teacher, and I'm going to probably have to open up more classes. But tell me about this. What is this about?
Okay, so we're going to get together for 1 hour every week for 6 weeks, actually for 7 weeks. So we're going to have 5 consecutive classes of 1 hour each, once a week. Then we're going to have 1 week without class. And this is going to give more time for you to practice the 12, excuse me, happiness enhancing strategies. Excuse me. And then we go to the class 6, that is the final class.
You're getting so chucked up. You love happiness so much.
I don't know what I did with the water, but anyhow.
So 5 weeks, a break for practice, and then another week, the final class.
Yes.
Application. So not a huge time commitment, just once a week for the most part, some practices in between. And this will be a good way for those. So if you have a mindfulness practice, meditation practice, this is great. If you don't, it's a good way to get an introduction to it. And again, for those who really want to, they want to get mindfulness and meditation superpowers, then you do MBSR. But this is the How of Happiness. Pretty much anybody would be good for this. Yes. Correct.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. I mean, teenagers and young adults and seniors. We're all looking at our lives. I mean, we're trying to answer those important questions. Who am I? What do I love? How shall I live knowing that I will die? What gifts do I bring to share with the family of the earth? So these are all questions that we entertain, for instance, in intervention number 10, commit to your goals. Do you know what your goals in life are? Do you have clarity about your goals in life? So things like this, it's so important at any stage of your life, and goals change as well. So we need, there's one of the lessons that we teach is you need to let go of lives that have played themselves out and do not serve you anymore. Because we keep carrying that load, and that load is not necessary. You don't need to carry the boat. You have already crossed the river. Live the boat and travel light. So let go of lives, of identities, of personas that have played themselves out and do not serve you anymore. Perhaps there's a new life waiting for you that is much more joyful and much more happy.
I was talking to my friend this morning. Remember Randy, who also was part of your course?
Sure, Randy.
And, he was saying to me, oh, you bring me all these great resources. And I don't know what it's about me, but I think I like to find shortcuts to stuff. As you know, I was a Tony Robbins coach for many years, one of his top coaches. And I like Tony Robbins and a lot of these things. But I'll tell you, Piero is one of those shortcuts. This is a diamond in the rough. You're getting a master, a meditation mindfulness master. he's famous in his eyes, sons. I'm, but no, I mean, you're not on CNN, right? But I found you, and I find these little things. So, my dentists are always like, they always want everybody who follows us, they want the secret sauce. They want, and I'm telling you, they're listening. This is one of them. Piero is going to be a little secret gem. This is a great class. And a lot of things everything he does is very nourishing. And I want to share Piero with you. And that was my intent. There's also this idea of reciprocity. When somebody does well for you and cares so much, you want to pay it back. And all of you have done so well. I love my all-star audience and all of you. And I want to share with you. I want to share the gifts. We all should be sharing. And that brings me happiness. I guess that's what I'm saying with Randy. It brings me happiness. I don't do it because I do it because I love it. It's for me. It brings joy for me. One of my uncle, who one of my first grade teachers always say to me is like, I'm selfish. I always do for me, and he says, if I make the world better, I make my life better,
Correct.
So he's always in how I help the world. So this is my way of being selfish and getting you on this program and sharing you with the all-star audience. And again, I'll put pierofalci.com. I'll also put a link to the happiness course to sign up. I'll also have some information about MBSR. Again, I apologize in ahead, but this is not a big course. This is probably going to fill up, but Piero, please work with people that if you do get, can I provide your email address as well? They can contact
Absolutely.
you. So you can also contact Piero at pierofalci.com. If the class is full, just beg him, see if he can do another one, or when another one is, get on, because this is great for everyone. Piero Falci, thank you so much for coming on. And did you want to say something else?
I want to express gratitude. The first happiness enhancing strategy. So I am grateful that you voluntarily took this initiative and brought me to this broad audience. I really appreciate that, and I'm very grateful. Well, and you are my friend. You and Heather. I'm so happy that you took the course and that you found value in it.
So as they say in Brazil, obrigado.
Yes, muito obrigado.
Well, thank you everyone for being on the call. And until next time, go out there and be an all-star.